there. So open it up for people to kind of raise their hand, and then we'll get started here. So who's got the first question? All right, Andy Greeter, go ahead.
Gable, I'm curious what you felt led to a better performance, a more dominant performance against Paris in this year's Big Ten compared to last year's.
I think my performance this year was a lot better than last year. Just preparation, determination, and knowing I can go out there and score a lot of points. I think this year is about proving myself and proving that there's a large gap between me and the rest of the field. And I think overall, just my preparation going into this, just score as many points as possible and put bonus points on the board. And so I think that's what is separating me right now from the pack.
Mike Willis, go ahead.
Hey, Gable. Short turnaround time between NCAA championships and the Olympic team trials. How do you peak for both of those events? And what does the kind of in-between space look like for you?
Just making sure I can maintain all the right things, lifting, wrestling, and going strong overall, I think is the main thing going into this next few weeks with the NCAA championships and Olympic trials. Just going to take it one match at a time at the NCAA tournament. And I think it's going to be a long, great weekend for me. And the turnaround for that is just get home, relax for a day, but I got to get right back to it and go down to Texas to try to win the Olympic trial spot too. So it's a busy little schedule, but I'm ready for it.
Mike, go ahead.
Yeah, I think a lot of people, look at this heavyweight field and think it's probably one of the most credentialed they'd ever seen, given junior and cadet level accomplishments and the guys wrestling. And yet, despite that, you're still out there bonusing everybody you're wrestling. What's it like to be at that level that, seems to be a tier above the field, and how do you maintain that level?
Just we constantly train hard. We focus on the right things here at Minnesota with I think with the coaching staff and the training they put me through. I think we have the best opportunities overall to win national titles and get All-Americans in all weight classes. And so I think me specifically, just my goal this year was to separate myself from the number 2 guy and 3 guy in the country. And there's still one more week to prove it, and I'm ready to reprove it again.
Rachel, go ahead, and then Andy, you can go after Rachel.
Yeah, Gable, with the Olympic trials and the NCAA so close, is this helpful in any way to you? I mean, does it help get you ready for trials to have the kind of big match that you're going to have here at the NCAAs?
Yeah, I think it's very helpful for me to have these matches at the NCAA tournament, especially going into the Olympic trials with a different field, a lot of older guys that are more mature than me, especially. And there's some great heavyweights coming into the USA field ready to try to get to this Olympic spot. And so I believe that me wrestling these matches and getting the endurance that I need to go into the next few weeks is very important for me.
Gable, I'm curious what you've taken from previous Gopher heavyweights, Lesnar, Conrad, Tony Nelson. You've been in contact with all those guys, and what sort of things, advice, tips, comments have you gotten from them?
Tony Nelson's a real great help for me. He's still in the practice room training with me. He's my main focus and main training partner. He was dominant back in the day, and he showed me how to really turn it around this year and how to be great in overall every spot that you need to be. Wrestling is such a variety of moves and such, and so being able to understand all positions and perfect every single position was the main thing this year, and he helped me great with that.
Jeff Wald, go ahead.
Gable, hi, thanks for doing this. I guess with everything you've been through in the last year plus, between being reinstated, winning the Big Ten title, and then having last year's NCAA meet canceled, what's the motivation level like to get back and chase another championship this year?
There's a lot of motivation to a lot of doubters out there, a lot of people that changed their minds on who I was as a person, and so me being able to win this NCAA championship mean the world to me and my family. And I think overall, just like I mentioned before, I'm going to take it one match at a time, grind it out, and come out on top Saturday night.
Mike, and then Andy.
Gable, we know you've got WWE and pro wrestling on your mind. I think you've said in some interviews, 2020 or 2021 Olympics might be like your last amateur wrestling, if you want to call it that, event. You still feeling that way? Do we see you in a Minnesota singlet next year or a Team USA singlet after that?
I mean, the questions are all in the air with that. I think I love the WWE. I love the organization and what they bring to the table. And it's going to be a hard process. There's going to be a lot of opportunities for me to go through. But right now, I am sticking with staying here and staying active in the wrestling scene. And we'll see what happens after the Olympics, and we'll go from there.
All right, we'll go Andy next, and then Rachel after Andy.
Gable, you've been vocal a few times about your praise of Spencer Lee. What kind of where does that come from? Obviously, he's incredibly dominant, but where does that admiration come from, do you think?
I love watching Spencer Lee. I think the way he wrestles and how he takes care of his business on the mat is phenomenal. He's separated himself so deeply in the 125 field that there's literally no other person that can compete with him overall, and everyone believes it too. And I wanted to take what he has done and put it into the heavyweight division and make sure that people can understand that I can do the same thing and create that separation myself and make sure that there is no another title contender overall. But I'm very fond of Iowa. I love Iowa. Their style, their pace, their hard work and dedication is phenomenal. Tom and Terry are some of my favorite coaches out there, even though we're rivals with them, I guess. But Spencer's just separate himself. He's on a different level. I only watched 2 matches at the Big Ten tournament. He was one of them. And just taking notes from him is key. And he's crazy. He's great overall. Like it's like a wow.
Yeah, Gable, I wanted to ask you about the victory over Gwizdowski at the TC Cup. That was quite a statement that you made. How much confidence did you get from that? And did that give you a boost going into the college season?
I gained a lot of confidence from being Gwiz. I know he was a top heavyweight for a while, and I've trained with Gwiz for when I was really young, like 16 years old. And to be able to compete with him and actually beat him in a wrestling match was a great confidence builder for me, and shows that I can compete at a high level with these guys, especially on the world team too. And going into the season, that gave me a lot of great confidence too, because he's beaten everybody in college and everyone else, and he is a 2-time national champion. I want to have the same accolades as him, but push it to the next level.
Let's go to Randy Johnson next.
Yeah, Gable, going all the way back to your freshman year, you seem to have a lot of fun on the mat. You did the ollie one time there. Anything in store for the NCAAs along those lines?
I don't know. There might be a lot of things I do. I come up like on the spot in the match, and I don't really plan it out. So right now, no, but I'm guessing there's going to be some type of showmanship for me just to get more viewership and get a lot of more people tuned in. I mean, it's what I do. I try not to be a bad guy and a villain overall, but it's just how I've been my whole life. I just love the entertainment, and I love being able to put on a show for a lot of people and have them tune in to every time I wrestle. So, I mean, you might see the ollie shuffle again. You might see a flip. You might see a backflip. You never know.
I'll follow up on that. There's a potential quarterfinal matchup between you and Penn State's Greg Kirkvliet, former high school rival. Looking to head to that at all?
I mean, it's gonna be. I mean, if he gets to that point, I mean, which he's got to wrestle his own matches to get to me. But at the end of the day, I'm not worried about no other heavyweight out there in the college scene. I'm gonna go out there and do my business like I proved last week I should. And he's a phenomenal person, great wrestler. But at the end of the day, I'm gonna go out there, score points, and dominate everyone I see.
We'll move to Jeff Wald next.
Gable, I know you're going to be largely focused on yourself and how you're going to perform over the course of the weekend, but you've got 8 teammates who are also there. What does that say about the Minnesota program, and what's that going to be like to share that experience with all those guys there?
It's going to be nice to share that experience with all them guys there. A lot of guys I've grown up with for a long time now. A freshman, Andrew Sparks and Marcos Polanco are going to come in and try to step on the podium for the first time, and it's going to be nice to see a new batch of guys come in, and go down to St. Louis and try to make a statement. We're a very young team, and I think it's only going to be up from here. We're gonna, in a few years, I believe that we can be a top team in the country and compete with Iowa and especially Penn State too. And I believe that with the recruitment that we're doing right now and the things that are going into play for us, the facilities we have, it's gonna be a bright side. There's a bright side to Minnesota.
Yeah, please raise your hand if you have any additional questions for Gable this afternoon. All right, Randy, go ahead.
Yeah, Gable, how good does it feel just getting the chance to compete in the NCAAs this year after it was taken away last year by COVID?
It feels great to get the chance to go out there, especially since freshman year, I took them 2 losses and one at the NCAA tournament. Is gonna, especially last year with it being canceled at US Bank Stadium in our home city. I think this year, a lot of people, we're all grateful to go out there and compete at the NCAA tournament. It's gonna be we're gonna have a great time. I'm gonna enjoy myself, soak it all in, and do what I need to do at the end of the day. So it'll be nice.
All right. Randy, follow up if you have one, or good? All right, anybody else? Okay, not seeing any more. Gable, thank you so much for taking the time this afternoon. Safe travels. We look forward to seeing you in St. Louis next week.
See you then. Thank you.
Thanks,
Thanks,
everybody.
Gable. Thanks, Matt.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, thank you everybody for joining us in this meeting. And then if you're joining for the folks at 2 o'clock, you can log back in then.